Joining us in our D11sports.com studios today is Scott Cooperman, the athletic director at William Allen High School. Also, Doug Snyder, the head basketball coach, just retired from William Allen High School. Guys, thanks for taking some time with us here on D11sports.com.
Good to be with you, Al, today.
Thanks for having us, Al.
Guys, obviously it's a crazy time right now with COVID-19, and everyone's dealing with it. First things first, and I'll start with you, Scott. How are you dealing with this? And it's something that I guess is taking over not only our society, but really the world right now. And hopefully there's some light at the end of the tunnel, but this is crazier than anybody has imagined.
Exactly, and never thought Doug and I end our career like this, but athletic-wise, we're still in contact with our coaches, spring coaches, trying to resolve those issues of collecting uniforms, which will eventually work out with administration. And then we also have our fall coaches. We're working on getting a plan out to get the registration stuff out, and then eventually, hopefully in July, after July 1st, we'll be able to meet with the student athletes and get things rolling for the fall. But again, everything is just assumption of what the governor will have us do when we turn yellow to green and all that stuff. So it's been totally something we never imagined. Family-wise, I have both our boys home now, one from DeSales, one from Bloomsburg. They're doing their Zoom lessons and that. So everything has changed for everybody.
And Doug, for you?
Well, I'm a teacher first. I'm a teacher at heart. And I think what I really miss is being in the classroom with the kids. We've checked over to Edgenuity, which is an online training system. And obviously I'm looking at people's grades, and they've been writing short writings and essays. And we've had a chance to do that, but it's just not the same. Not being in the classroom, not being in the school with the students and the faculty members. Obviously, people like your daughter, the seniors, are missing out on all kinds of nice events that they would experience as seniors. I worry about the winter athletes, and then obviously the spring season getting canceled. So it's just the interaction and relationship between faculty members, teachers, coaches, and students has kind of been lost through this, and that's just a criminal thing.
Guys, let's talk about, the two of you. And, you guys really know each other for a long, long time. I don't know if that's good or bad, but anyway, you've known each other for a long, long time, and you're going out as retiring at the same time. What does that say about the two of you? And was this planned? Hey, Scott's going out, I'm going out, or, Doug's going out, I'm going out. Was there some plan in the beginning of the season, Doug?
We've talked about it over the last couple of years. I think I have a few more years in than he totally with my service in New Jersey, but we've discussed it, and I didn't really want to work for another athletic director because Scott Cooperman is at the top of the profession when athletic directors in our conference and in this area of the state of Pennsylvania. He's just meticulous. He's highly organized, and we would probably talk on phone, definitely on email, probably at least once or more per day during the season and even out of season. My classes would say, oh, Mr. Cooperman's calling again, all right, in the middle of a class, and he and I would talk. He'd have my schedule for next year done before the season was completed for the previous season. And so I really kind of am welcoming the fact that he and I kind of spent 20 years together, but we're going out together, and I think that's a wonderful thing for both of us.
Scott's obviously got to be special for you as well.
We had a very good relationship. I try to have a good relationship with all our coaches. I'm there to assist. That's the way I look at it, and definitely did not micromanage. I would suggest we would have one-on-one talks and give some suggestions here and there. But again, it was a good one-on-one situation. I actually had some situations. I remember with diagramming plays when I was coaching second grade basketball at South Bartlett. We're an office helping me, giving me practice plans for that. So we really had a good relation. When I had a particular issue, I'd go to Doug. Hey, look, man, you can give me some. What's your advice on that? Or we go back and forth with that. We had a really good, working relation with one another, and made it really tough to replace Coach Snyder. That is for sure. He's one of a million. And again, even a lot of people know what he does, but still don't really know what he has done for over the years at SVB and at William Allen.
Well, and Scott, I'm going to jump on that right away. For me, and I've been around this for a long time. Obviously, Doug came in '97, and Allen and stuff. And I started working in '95 and '94 and going in that pace. And I can tell you first and foremost, I've interviewed a lot of coaches on the high school and collegiate level, also on the pro level, and not because I'm interviewing Doug right now. He's my favorite. I always put, Doug Snyder and Kevin Higgins from Lehigh as two of my favorite coaches of all time. Giving back and being a teacher and being, a teacher first, and I remember having all those conversations with Doug, in the past where, you always talk about your student athletes and helping them even when games are over. And that says a lot about you. It says a lot about William Allen High School, and Scott, it says a lot about you leading everything together.
Al, speaking about you and I together, I was dipping chocolate ice cream at Haagen-Dazs at Music Fest in one of my first summers, and you were interviewing me as I was fundraising for the team with the Haagen-Dazs ice cream. So you and I go back a long way, and not just in athletic venues, also at Music Fest with the ice cream.
Yeah, no question about that.
We've done over our years.
Yeah, right.
Would you have your back fixed by a mechanic? Don't take a risk with your rehabilitation. Trust physical therapy at St. Luke's.
Doug, as you look at your career path, and you start in New Jersey, but you guys are both Allen graduates. Being able to coach 23 years at Allen, what has this meant to you?
Well, as I was thinking about talking with you today and with Scott, I was thinking about the two of us and what we connect. You realize that the two of us are products of the city of Allentown and the Allentown School District. So we both went to the Allentown schools. We both grew up on the streets and the playgrounds of Allentown. I believe, Scott, you were a playground instructor for a while.
Director Hamilton Park, and eventually supervisor for the west end of Allentown. Yep.
And I think that the way we have been produced is partially because we have come through a system which really worked. And we are old Allentonian guys from the system. I'm not saying old in a chronological age, Coop. I'm talking about the old Allentown, but we've made the adjustment, Al, to being part of the new Allentown. And so, he was a playground supervisor and instructor. I spent 5 years of my summers instructing on the playgrounds. We met teachers and coaches from the school district, not just during the year, but out of the year as well. And I think probably both of us would say that because we met such important people who helped us to get along, that's why we ended up as the athletic director and the boys basketball coach at Allen High School, because we're giving back like people did for us.
Scott, you want to add to that?
That's well stated. I remember my interview for the job for my first teaching job in '86, and they asked me, why did you get interested in teaching? I said, because I was a playground. I got my experience on the playground. And the principal right there, forgetting who he was, he said, oh, that's the same reason why I wanted to do it. So right then and there, I felt, wow, I think I just got a job. Typical. That was what you always did, and I think we're sort of unfortunately getting away from that a little bit as things have changed. And Bill and I both had to adapt our ways in order to continue to be successful through 2010, 12, 15, and through 2020. We had to adapt like everybody else has to adapt because it keeps on changing. Yet we still kept, I believe, our certain guideline philosophies pretty much intact, what we wanted, expected of our student athletes, as well as I expecting of our coaches as well.
Jay Milo Swords, Jay Bernie Crum, John Domware, Doug Snyder. When you hired when Doug Snyder became your head coach and he had to replace John Domware, and you look, in 100 years, you got 4 coaches. What does that say about Doug, and are you happy with the hire you made? I just got to ask that. Were you happy with him or not?
Well, I wish I hired him, but I did. I mean, he was on board when I was head baseball coach, and that's when we first met one another. But again, it would have been awesome. It would have been awesome to hire him. But I got my what I wanted, allowing to induct him into the Hall of Fame. I mean, to me, that was something that was so important. We talked about that. We usually wait a year. I went to Doug. I said, look, I got the letter. He got the letter over Christmas holiday. He called our first tournament game. He goes, we got to talk. We talked. I said, look, if you don't want to go in this year, fine, I get it. But I really want to be, for the first time, probably be selfish. And I really want you be the last person that I would induct into the William Allen Hall of Fame and eventually get yes. So I think it worked out for the best with everything that transpired over the last couple months.
And Doug, getting into the Hall of Fame, in January, I believe it was January. What did that mean to you as being part of, a really rich tradition at William Allen High School?
Well, you mentioned my three predecessors, obviously, Jay Bernie Crum, Jay Milo Sewards, and John Domware. As a history teacher, I am well aware of the lineage that I am part of. And whoever gets hired has to go at least 22 years because it's been 25, 24, 23, and 23. So good luck to the next candidate because they have to go at least 22 years to keep this trend going. But Coop and I talked about it, and I really didn't want it to go in. It was going to happen during one of our home games, and it was near the end of the season, and playoffs were approaching, and I kind of didn't want to be taken away from that. But as Coop kind of mentioned, it worked out well because my mother and father was still alive to see that occur, and then within a month after that event, they both passed, and I think it was meant to be, and I really appreciated Scott for kind of suggesting that that would happen when it did.
Let's go to the East Penn Conference Championship first. This past year, winning in Allentown, winning at the PPL Center. What did that mean to both of you? I'll start with you, Doug.
Well, 2 years prior, we had the best team around with Tyrese Martin and Talik Williams on that team. We went down to the PPL Center and we lost to Parkland in the district semifinal in front of 8,000 people. And here we are 2 years later with the same opportunity. We ended up playing Parkland again and beating them in overtime. So even though very few of those players that played this past year were on that team 2 years prior, Quell Adderley being probably the only one, I think they really appreciate it because some of those guys live within walking distance of the PPL Center. Some of those guys go by that all the time. And for us to get on a bus and go only 8 or 9 blocks to play a basketball game, first Parkland and then against a team from our adjacent town of Bethlehem with Liberty High School, I think it meant an awful lot to the guys. And I just appreciate the fact that they pulled through. We had beat Liberty by 1. We had lost to Liberty by 1. So I kind of expected a 1 or 2 point deficit, and I expected maybe an overtime game. And here it was, we kind of beat them rather handily, but that was just a credit to the kids. And I think, again, they'll remember that. They won't remember the score necessarily. They're going to remember that they won a championship in their hometown arena.
Yeah, both of those experiences were, I mean, you just don't replace those. The one that we lost, but still 8,000 people. I remember they opened up the top rail, and within like 10 minutes, it was all filled. And the crowds we had this year was very good from a financial and being the EPC treasurer. We did very well. And anytime we can put something in those venues at Peepinal and Cole Park with Kurt Landis, what we've done with the EPC Blaze, just makes that athletic experience that much better for our student athletes and fans included.
All right, so you guys are retiring. You got a couple days left, really, right? As the school year finishes up.
6 weeks.
All right, 6 weeks. You guys are counting it down now. All right.
I wasn't.
What's next? What's on the horizon, Scott? What do you have planned?
I mean, again, this definitely, and my wife would probably agree, that definitely says, I mean, I'm too young just not to do anything. I do have certain things. I mean, I do have a passion for baseball. I mean, our three boys definitely displayed that with what they've done. And been coaching technically for 34 years, even with doing the Allen, being AD at Allen. So might go through there looking at, I have some with that, maybe go there or some other thing. I love doing the facility things. I love hosting District 11 events and all that, maybe do something at the collegiate level there. So everything's open. Things changed a little bit because with Chad now going back to get his 5th year, to be a graduate student so he can complete his senior year. So that doesn't, we're all as a family going to end at one time. He was going to graduate. Mm-hmm. His job is supply chain. Basically got people now had it all solidified. Tyler was in his 7th year at the sales, a doctor in PT school. He was going to graduate in August. It was all going to be, but now this has totally changed everything. So maybe different things I'm looking at. But again, baseball wise would probably be the first option. Being assistant AD somewhere because I love the job still, but it was just time to move on from Allentown at this point. That's basically where I'm at.
And Doug?
I haven't given it much thought, Al. My wife is probably going to retire from her nursing position at Easton Hospital at some point in the near future. So she and I will maybe have some time on our hands. Teachers oftentimes are able to travel during the summer and see places they don't get a chance to see normally. But with being a basketball coach, you're working year round, you're working 12 months a year, you're running summer leagues, you're involved in summer tournaments and showcases and AAU events. So maybe we'll do some traveling. But like Scott in baseball, I have a passion for this round ball, and somehow I'll probably somehow stay connected to basketball in some way. And I love teaching history and being involved in history. In fact, just this morning, my wife and I talked about the fact that maybe I'll look at becoming an adjunct professor, or maybe teaching some history somewhere at a local community college or whatever. So I'm never going to be too far away from being in a classroom, whether that classroom's a typical classroom or a gym of some kind as a classroom.
What you're saying is your wife said you need to do something. You just can't retire.
Yeah, exactly right. The list to do.
See, 20 years, you can see get through the inferences there.
So you're hurting. Is it your back or your knee? Get the rehabilitation you need. We're in your neighborhood. Call Physical Therapy at St. Luke's.
You've coached a lot of players, a lot of great players that are playing overseas, that some terrific players. Okay, top five. I know there's give me some top five, and Scott, you can add if he misses one. But I know, listen, off the top of my head, I have a couple of them. I kind of like tell our viewers, your top five. Do you have those top five? And it doesn't have to be in any specific order, okay?
You're putting me on the spot. You're really putting me on the spot here.
Yes, I am.
And I know you, with your listening audience out there, a lot of people are hearing this, so I don't know. I'm going to put my foot in my mouth here, Al. But I have been blessed, and the reason I have the wins I have is because of players and my coaching staff. It has nothing to do with what I've done. Players win games, and obviously I have great ones. We've kind of gone through a couple different stages. Early in my career, we have the leading scorer in the history of Allen High School with 2,200 points. That's Ray Barbosa. And then we hit into the mid-200s, and I had Darnell Braswell, who was a first-team Division III All-American 2 years in a row at DeSales. And on the same team, we had one of the better players in the state named Terrence Roderick. And then I kind of hit into another stage kind of around 2010, 2011, and you had a Jalen Cannon, who was now playing abroad and who was a leading rebounder and 1,000-point scorer at St. Francis in Brooklyn. So he had a wonderful, wonderful all-league career at St. Francis. So you have to add him into the mix. And then I ended up with two of the better athletes that this area has seen, one of the best jumpers that the Lehigh Valley has ever seen leave his feet on a basketball court, with Talik Williams and his running mate, who just transferred from Rhode Island to the University of Connecticut to play for Danny Hurley at UConn, and that's Tyrese Martin. And then as of late, I've had a couple players like Aquel Adderley, and I've had Nate Ellis, who this past year was named first-team All-Area as a sophomore. So those would probably be the ones that stand out most. But again, probably what makes this so interesting is you have the great players, but then you have those role players. You have those guys that might not see much playing time, but they turn out to be productive citizens and members of our society going forward, and it makes it all the much more worthwhile.
Hey, Scott, was that some good players?
Just add one that reflects of what I think what we're about, Doug and I now in high school. You take someone who really has a lot of struggles in his life and finally found some support through Coach Snyder, his staff, and some other outside resources, and eventually made the most of that, and that's J.J. Winslow, who went Lackawanna. Then I had some issues at Allen, got through it. I remember many times conversations in the laundry room that we had, and eventually got some support, and eventually now is playing at Division II in Delaware and making the most of those opportunities. So they're the success stories. I think William Allen, Coach Snyder athletic program is what I want to be remembered about. Not about the wins and losses, trophies. They go away. They get dusty and all that. It's about the human experiences that can carry on. And Darnell's another one who overcame some obstacles and did the tremendous at Allen, eventually at DeSales.
Yes, I agree 100%.
I love all those names, and they were on the list. I still say, to me, Talik Williams can be a Harlem Globetrotter because he has that stuff. Put him there and that's it. Let him go. Because what he did, at Cedar Beach, what he did on the court across the Lehigh Valley, what he displayed when he was here was unbelievable. You know, you can
Right.
say, oh, well, yeah, he can jump a little. No, he can't jump a little bit. He's jumping over people. I mean, he's an amazing athlete when, you know, the jumping ability that he had. No doubt about that.
I never really had to look at lob dunk plays. And then all of a sudden this kid entered our gym. And I think I had 10 different lob dunk plays. I had lob dunk plays against man-to-man, against zone, on out-of-bounds plays. In fact, the game we talked about earlier in our conversation, the district semi in 2017 against Parkland that we lost at the PPL Center, I opened up with J.J. Winslow passing the ball to Tyrese Martin. And JJ went down against the zone and screened Sam Iorio. And the first play of the game, Tyrese threw the alley-oop dunk to Talik, and we opened up 2-0. Of course, everything went downhill after that, and we lost the game. But, yeah, you're right. The kid was electrifying.
St. Luke's Pediatrics delivers the care you expect for your child, now and for their future. Choose a St. Luke's pediatrician today.
Guys, before I let you go, give me a lasting memory of, again, I still feel that both of you are going to be part of this Allen tradition and continue on in one way or the other. But a memory, whether it's basketball, whether it's just, you know, the students and, you know, Scott, you're thinking. So while you're still thinking on that last memory, I'll go with Doug. Doug, give me a memory that you're going to have here with Allen.
Well, I guess I go back early in my Allen days when we're standing up at Parkland, and Aaron Gray, who was going to spend 7 years in the NBA as a 7-foot center. And I had a bunch of skinny kids running around looking up at Aaron's 7-foot stature. And we ended up with Barbosa hitting an elbow jump shot off the backboard to win in double overtime.
I do remember, like it was yesterday. I remember walking through, and then it was an hour before the game, and both stands were filled in the student section of Allen, and they're going back and forth, and some comments were funny and all that. That was a tremendous atmosphere. For me, it's more difficult because there's so many different memories. I mean, I just love the relationships I had with our coaches throughout the 20 years. I've been blessed with some great individuals, staff-wise, as well as principal-wise. I've been just blessed with all of them, and then they've all had the same centered focus of the student-athlete first and foremost. And our motto was taking student-athletes to the next level, and that's what we tried every day to accomplish. And we had those days at the end of collegiate days where we recognize what they're going on in college. To me, that was always a good day to see what has been accomplished over the last 4 years, and those kids moving on to the next level.
And Doug, as you were talking, obviously, you know, there's a lot of memories for you that stick out, as you were mentioning, and you know, and obviously 2002 and Ray Barbosa and everything. That's tremendous. Your student athletes, Scott, your student athletes, a message to them as you leave. Scott, I begin with you. A message to your student athletes as you depart William Allen High School.
I mean, make the most of every day. I mean, don't let a situation like this be an excuse, okay? Overcome this excuse. I've seen what my two sons are doing with the time that they're doing. I mean, Ty right now, 7 years of college, he's out shopping for other people right now, making a buck that way until he gets called back to his internship. Chad is working out every day, making the most and getting ready for his online internship and that. So make the most of each day. Even if you have so many different obstacles to overcome, there are resources in Allentown High School to make yourself the best that you can possibly be. So make the most of every day.
And for you, Doug?
Chase your dreams. Don't let anybody or don't let anything hold you back. You can attain anything that you would like to attain in this life through hard work and effort. And I think our guys have started to kind of believe in that and chase those dreams.
Guys, I thank you very much for joining us here on D11sports.com. Again, two of the best out there. You guys are going to be missed, and I know we have to get a new athletic director, a new head coach at Allen. Scott, actually, when will that be? I assume that's going to happen soon, right?
Well, AD-wise, we're a little bit it's need board approval. So basically, we have that solidified. And then the basketball coach, actually, we are starting interviews next Tuesday and Wednesday. And I believe the next final would be that Friday. We're doing Zoom interviews, which will be different. Coach Snyder and I are on that committee, the committee of 10. to select the next basketball coach. So hopefully by the May board meeting, both those will be board approved.
Guys, stay safe. Happy times with your family right now, and hopefully everyone gets through this, which we all will. And we'll see you down the road in different capacities where we can actually maybe shake hands again and do our interviews, not like this. But I really appreciate the time, and have a great afternoon.
Thanks again.
Thanks for having us.
All right, that is Doug Snyder, the head basketball coach who just recently retired after 23 seasons. Scott Cooperman, who recently retired as the athletic director, joining us here on D11sports.com. Have a great day.